Hi everybody, my name is Arwen and I am a nature interpreter, and today I am standing in the Gorge Waterway Action Society's Nature House, which is located right here on the map. This house is within Lekwungen territory, which is now known as the Songhees and Esquimalt people, and I just want to acknowledge that because we're going to be talking about watersheds today. This watershed only exists because of careful stewardship throughout the years that continues to this day. And so it's really important that we think about this as we learn about watersheds. Before we begin, do you guys know what a watershed is? Well, let's break it down. So the first word, water. We know what water is, right? Yeah. The second word, shed. Do you know what shed means? It's not like a tool shed, but it's more like a snake shedding, or if I were to shed my hair. So it's something that is being removed or moved to a different location. Let's put that together. A watershed is how water gets removed from the land and goes into the rivers, into the lakes, and ends up in the ocean. The watershed is made up of land and water. On land, we have two types of surfaces. We have permeable, which when it rains, that's where the water is going to soak into the earth. So that's represented by all of our green bits here, and especially our sponges, which represent wetlands, or swamps, or marshes that are really good at soaking up water and holding it in the ground, which is called groundwater. And then we also have impermeable surfaces. We see these a lot in cities, towns, and these are represented by our gray bits on the map, which is the pavement that is not going to let the water soak in. So the water is going to hit it and it's going to stay there, and eventually it'll move off the pavement onto the green bits there. What's really cool about our watershed is that so many different water systems are connected and meet together. So we have Swan Lake up by Coles over here, which is going to feed all the way down, coming around here, which comes down to Portage Inlet, which is again going to come all the way down into the gorge, which you can see outside of the nature house, and then it's going to go all the way down to the harbor, to downtown, and then it's going to go out to the Salish Sea. Now that we know what a watershed is, what it's made of, and how water moves through it, we forgot to talk about one other part. Humans. We are a part of watersheds. We are going to do a little science experiment today, looking at what we put on the land and how it ends up in the water. We are going to start with some pesticides. Do you know what a pesticide is? Let's break it down a little bit. Pest refers to any type of bug or maybe rodent or anything like that that tries to eat plants. We use pesticides to keep the animals away. It gets used in our gardens, on our crops, on our farmland, on our lawns, to keep all of the bugs away from our food. Because if the animals ate all of the food, we wouldn't get any of the food. We also use something else to help grow plants and grow crops, and that is herbicides. Do you know what a herbicide is? Let's break it down a little bit. Herb refers to plants. So this is something used to keep weeds from growing. Maybe it's dandelions on the lawn, or maybe it's other plants that you don't want mixed in with your salad. So now that we've put our herbicides and our pesticides on the land, there's one more thing that we're going to put on. Did you drive a car today? Or you rode a bus? Or a taxi? Or really anything with wheels? When we do that and we use tires on the road, it leaves behind little traces of oil or something called 6-PDQ. Let's pretend that we are driving from Walmart all the way down Tillicum Road here, over the bridge, to the nature house. Maybe you're coming all the way from Vic General Hospital. So we're going to come down the road here, all across. We're coming down Craigflower here to the nature house. So now let's take a look at the land. It looks a little bit dirty, doesn't it? And that's because of everything that we put onto the land. So we put herbicides, we put pesticides, and we put some oil or 6-PDQ. What do you think is going to happen when it rains? Do you think it's going to stay on the land? Or do you think it's going to move somewhere? And let's remember, a watershed is how water moves through the land into the waterways. Yeah, I think it's going to end up in the water there. So we have our rain clouds today, which are going to simulate when it rains. And pay close attention to where all of the stuff on land ends up. It looks like our storm is passing and it's heading out to sea there instead. The land looks a lot cleaner, doesn't it? But what does the water look like? Does it look very clean? No, it doesn't. If you were a little fish swimming, would you want to be swimming in this water? Because I wouldn't want to. So, as the water enters down and comes around, we can see that it is actually settling. So heavier things fall down to the bottom of the gorge here and leave a little bit cleaner water on top. But that doesn't mean that it's not there. It's at the bottom. And any time maybe an animal, maybe a human, maybe a boat stirs up that sediment, it re-pollutes the top of the water. This isn't really great for a lot of different animals and plants that live in our waterways, like the Olympia oyster, eelgrass, and salmon. They are species that we want to protect and take care of. Now, can you think of some ways that we might make the water a little bit cleaner? Let's start by looking at what we put on the land. So the first thing we put was pesticides, and these were to get rid of pests. Can you think of some other things we might use to keep pests away? Yeah, we could use a net or fences if we didn't want pests in there, or you could plant certain plants that smell really strong and keep the pests away. What about our herbicides? This was used to keep any weeds from growing or to keep any other plant from out-competing the plants that we want to grow. So we could maybe use compost, or we could use mulch, or maybe we could use a different type of herbicide, because not all herbicides are the same. Some are a little bit better for the environment than others. We also put oil on the map, and this represented cars, buses, anything with tires, because they leave little traces behind, even if we don't see it. And that, when it gets into the water, becomes really, really toxic to fish. Can you think of some other ways that we might get around? We could bike, we could walk places, you could skateboard if you want, or we could even take the bus, because it is still a tire, but a lot more people can fit on a bus than in your car, right? But the best thing that you can do at home right now is just say, I like watersheds. Or you could just say, I like water. Those are really important because the more people like water and know about watersheds, the better we are able to protect it and be the voice for the watersheds. Well, that's everything I had today. Thank you so much for doing this experiment with me. And if you have any questions or want to learn more, you can always come down to the Gorge Waterway Nature House and ask us any questions you have. We'll see you then.